Marcia, thanks for joining us. You want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Okay. You emailed me with a set of physical symptoms that you're having that we'll discuss in a minute, and you wanted some help with EFT, to assist you, new doors to go in. How might you use EFT to better assist you in your progress? I have that right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Um, why don't you give us a little rundown of what the issues are?
Well, let's see. In April 22nd, I went to the doctor with very extreme inflammation in my nasal passages and in my lungs.
And it's now September, by the way, so that's 6 months ago. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I went on a round of antibiotics, and uh, it seemed like it took it down a couple of notches, but it didn't really make it go away. And it lingered and lingered and lingered. And it would sort of, sometimes it would abate and then it would come back ferociously. Not as much as it did at first, but to the point where I'm not working right now. It's really interfered with being able to work.
Okay, and your symptoms are?
Inflammation in my nasal passages and in my lungs. Now it's mostly in the upper lungs, and extreme fatigue.
Well, okay. I knew about the inflammation, but I mean, does that make it harder for you to breathe, for example?
No, I don't notice it in my daily life. I'm not exerting myself. I'm not exercising like I
Okay.
was
All right. So how would you know you had it?
because I feel the pain of the inflammation.
Okay, so you feel pain here?
Yeah, up here,
Uh-huh.
and then in my nose.
Okay. And you also have fatigue.
Yes,
All right. And have the doctors given you labels for this?
not yet.
Okay. So it's been 6 months and they've done tests and one thing, but they haven't been able to put it in a category, a
Right.
label.
It's going on 5 months. Yeah, it's a little over 4 months. Well, let's see. May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, 5 months. So no, they haven't labeled it yet. They've been running tests and
Okay.
whatnot. They've been calling it upper respiratory virus with fatigue.
That's a creative label, I guess. Okay. Um, so at any rate, they've been giving you some antibiotics, I guess, and what else?
I did 2 rounds of antibiotics. I did prednisone to bring down the inflammation, and that's it.
Okay. And the result of all that has been little or no progress?
Right.
Okay. And and have you said to me on an earlier conversation we had that you have tried it with EFT, but with marginal, maybe even no results. Would I be right?
That's correct.
Okay. Give me a sense of, if you will, how you used EFT. I mean, like even though I what?
Here and even though I have this inflammation in my sinuses and my lungs, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Okay.
This inflammation, yeah.
Okay. Okay. What I was interested in was the words that you were using, and you were aiming EFT um, at whatever label you could give it, even though I have this inflammation, for example. Okay. And
Right.
that incidentally will oftentimes work, at least temporarily. I mean, when people get injured, for example, they burn themselves, or they like I caught my finger in a door here a while back, a major pain, and I should have had discolored fingernail and all that kind of stuff. Tap 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 tap. The whole thing just subsided. Uh, I never had even the slightest discoloration in my finger or anything. Okay. So what I'm pointing out is oftentimes we can go use EFT on the physical thing itself, and we get some results. Once in a while, those results are permanent, and we tend to go, "Wow, 1 minute wonder," you know. But often they aren't permanent; they'll be temporary, or go nowhere. And you're somebody who's gone nowhere. Okay. So, from an EFT point of view, that's a clue that you're not really tapping on the real issue. The real issue isn't this inflammation and the other physical things that the doctors are telling you are going on with your system. Um, the, for our point of view, the real core issue is some emotional issue that is causing that. See, that becomes the symptom, and there's some other issue underneath that that tends to cause some kind of disruption in the energy system in your body, which is showing up physically. Now, I understand doctors may not agree with that. They may not use that. It's not in their toolkit, but that's the approach that we use. So we don't replace medicine. It's just a different approach. So what I would ask you is, since this started like last April, what was going on with you emotionally last April, maybe a month or two or three or before that?
I went to Hawaii at the beginning of April to ostensibly take a vacation, went to a yoga retreat in the rainforest on the Big Island.
Yes.
And what was going on with me? At that time, I forgot to take my antidepressants with me on the trip, and I decided to go off of them.
Okay.
On that trip. And I was starting to talk with a man that I'd met online, email and talk.
Okay. But the question had to do with more like emotional stuff. Coming off your antidepressants, while depression is emotionally related, I was looking more for like some kind of trauma that may have happened, some kind of rejection that may have happened, some kind of guilt issue that may have happened, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think I can help you out with that one. I'm very emotionally in tune, in terms of, I have tried to work this emotionally. I know Chinese medicine, for example, says that the lungs are grief, and Louise Hay says that the nose is anger at someone close to you. I really identify something traumatic that happened.
Okay. I'm not getting that the mere coming off of the antidepressants suddenly causes all this other inflammation and other physical things. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time thinking that in and of itself, one would cause the other.
Right.
Okay? Not a doctor, you understand?
Right.
That's where I'm coming from. So, just because we can't locate it in this conversation so far doesn't mean there isn't some emotional or other type issue there. Why did you go to Hawaii? I know you went to this retreat. Was there some other reason?
Well, I went because I had gotten divorced a year ago, last September, this month. And I called it my divorce trip. I went because I felt exhausted and I wanted to regenerate. Okay.
So I'm gathering there were some emotional issues in the past year. Would I be correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't have to get all that personal here, but the divorce tends to have, some anger in it. It tends to have a list of every emotion involved. Would I be correct?
Yes.
Okay. And they can be very intense.
Yes.
And they can involve the courtroom or lawyers, etc.
Yes.
Okay. And financial things?
Yes.
Okay. All of which... Hold on a minute. Just a telephone. Okay. So those things now can start building. And you can get pretty tied up on those. Now, would I be correct in that there were times in the last year that you really got worked up? In fact, you said you said at the end of it you were exhausted.
Yeah.
Were you satisfied with the result?
Fairly satisfied, yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, the door I'm going to suggest here is to go in this door having to do with all that emotional stuff about the divorce.
Right.
That starts to take a lot of your own system resources. You deal with that stuff emotionally, and it starts taxing your resources. Your and it takes energy away from your immune system, for example, and things
Mhm.
like that. Okay, and as a result, it would be no surprise that some physical symptoms would come up. All right. Now,
Mhm.
I would also think that it's a worthwhile door to go into not only the events and the things that went on with the divorce, but with a lot of stuff in the past, because one of the reasons something like a divorce can get us so tied up is it bounces off of a lot of unresolved stuff from the past. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. When I got divorced, I went, whew, wonderful. Okay. It was relatively easy. Yes, there were, sparks going on in one thing and another. But when I got all the way done with it, even though it was concerning along the way, I didn't have any emotional stuff. I really finished the whole thing and said, boy, so glad that's over, and so on. So, you, on the other hand, if I'm hearing it right, had more intense reactions than what I'm discussing. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in that sense, you would go, this is my term now, over the top, having some excess emotions about it. With me? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's one thing to have the concerns and the irritations and all the stuff that goes with that. It's another thing to go over the top and end up being exhausted and perhaps having inflammation and other physical symptoms. Okay.
Right. Right.
So that then takes us, the reason you would be over the top in my example um, would be because there's unresolved stuff in the past. This whole event of the divorce starts reminding you of the time you were rejected by your boyfriend in the third grade. I made that up, okay? Or other other rejections and anger issues, things that reminded you of that weren't resolved. As I'm speaking, are you thinking of things that might be?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't really have to go into them here, but you could make a list of those, could you not?
Yes.
Okay. 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, 40, 200. It depends on how active you want to get on your list, probably, of what was really there. So, um, let me let me give you kind of a beginning point, if I can. Um, First of all, let me know. Do you consider yourself an expert at EFT, a beginner, in between someplace? Where are you in your training on that?
Beginner.
A beginner. So you
Yeah.
basically know where the tapping points are and some of the beginning words and all that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, I'm going to suggest really strongly that you spend some time with our tutorial that's on
Mm-hmm.
our website, because that takes you, all the way through this well. But I'm
Okay.
going to particularly suggest in this case that you use two of our features, on our website. One of those is going to be the personal peace procedure.
May I write this down?
Please.
Okay. The personal peace procedure.
Yeah. And you'll find that on our website on the tutorial. Okay. But let me tell you what the essence of that is. And by the way, you'll be seeing this video later on. So if you're not taking notes, it'll all be there anyhow. Okay, for you. Okay.
Okay.
But take notes as you will now. But the personal peace procedure is basically a process where you list a number of specific events in your life
Mm-hmm.
that were bothersome to you. Okay. Now, A specific event would not be something like, uh, my father always abused me. That's too general. It would be like I'm making this up, the time my father ridiculed me in front of my friends when I was age 8 in the living room. Okay, that's very specific. Okay, now you can use this personal procedure for all the things that may have happened in your past, and that would be good to do for anybody because we all carry this stuff around. Okay, there's lots of unresolved stuff we have. It's just part of life. We collect them. Okay? I would start, however, in this case, with the specific events having to do with the divorce. The time my husband said it's all over. Now I made that up as well. But there are times along the time he said I want all the money, okay, or the time he did this or said that or cheated here or rejected you there or whatever the case. But the specific events in it that really got you going, okay, and that
Yeah.
can still get you going now as you think about them. My guess is that there's a few events in there that if I asked you to start talking about it, you get a little worked up. Would I be correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to use those specific events, tap, 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 even though da 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 da, and do several rounds until that one comes to zero. Okay. Then you go to another until that one comes to zero. Okay. Now, what I want you to be aware of when you do that is that you may, as you bring one down to zero, something else may pop up from your childhood or from the past. Make
Mm-hmm.
note because that's going to be on your list eventually. Okay. So anyway, personal peace treater will do that. Now, the other thing I'm going to suggest that you do, and you keep doing that by the way, until all these things are zero, and then once these things are zero or down low, my guess is that since the cause for this stuff, the emotional causes are going to be lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. This will get better and better and better and better. I don't think you're going to have a 1 minute wonder, one round of some event, and all of a sudden it's all gone. I think it'll be gradual. Okay. Now, the other thing that I think would be really useful here, especially since you are a beginner, is to use what I call, or what we're calling, our borrowing benefits process, sometimes known as easy EFT. Now, there are instructions for that on our free tutorial. Okay. However, there's a part of our tutorial or our website thing that isn't free. It's called the Art of Delivery videos. That's a very flexibly priced thing. It gives you a bunch of other videos that you can use that are more advanced, but included in them are a whole series of sessions that I do with people that are on stage called borrowing benefits sessions. Okay, and let me discuss what those are, uh, and how you might use them. I might bring up somebody on stage who has issues that aren't anything like yours, or at least you think they aren't. Okay, there's one up there. There's a lady who had a real trauma regarding a school teacher, when she was young. This may or may not apply to you. Okay, but we dealt with that. But see, and while this was happening, while I was doing this, and it was being filmed, I had a whole audience of several hundred people tapping along as though they had the same issue. But they would first write down issues of their own. They just write them down, okay? Even though they are different than the person on stage. And what happens is while you're tapping along with the person on stage, I am dealing with their angers, guilts, fears, traumas, the very same things you have, we all have, okay? And your system will draw parallels to it, okay? They're entertaining, and what you'll do is when you start the borrowing benefit session, you'll write down some of your issues, and you'll give them a 0 to 10 intensity. The time my husband said this during so and so, okay, and I'm an 8 on that one, okay. um, By the time you're done with this borrowing benefit session and you go back and assess that again, you won't be an 8. You're likely to be a 3 or a 5 or a 2 or nothing. Okay? And so the good thing about those is the EFT is being done for you by someone who knows how to do this, namely me. Okay? But you're borrowing from someone else. Okay?
Yeah.
So you could take your personal procedure list and you could make those the items that you write down for a borrowing benefit session and then watch what happens. And these things are very entertaining. They're very intriguing. In fact, they're frankly better than most reality TV you'll see. Okay, they're very human. There's a lot of humor in it. There's some down times as well. Some tears and the whole thing. So I would suggest that do that. And I would bet you after you've done that, much of this, if not all of it, will have subsided. At the very least, you will be a lot freer emotionally because you will have cleared so many things, and it's likely to show up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Now, those were a lot of words. Do you have any questions about that?
I guess one of my only questions would be that I don't have a long list of, let's say, 20 or 50 and I'm not even sure, but I do have specific instances from my past, not just my divorce, but from my past. So just keep experimenting with that, and as many as I can think of that were traumatic, go with that.
Yeah. The mere fact from childhood, by the way, the mere fact that you can remember them, even though you may not get worked up about them currently.
Right.
You may get a 1 or a 2 or the mere fact that you remember them, there's a charge there someplace. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have happy memories too, and there's a good charge on that. But if it's a negative type of memory, the mere fact that you remember it, there's something about that that's and it's irritating you a bit, and worth doing EFT on.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Nice smile. How do you feel?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
Hopeful.
Well, okay.
Physically?
Yeah.
Tired.
You're there.
Very tired.
Okay.
Not so much the inflammation, but fatigued. And I told you I have this tingling sensation that's very strange.
All right. What I want to do right now, just as an experiment, I'm going to do some kind of global type stuff with you for the moment. Some tapping. We'll do some tapping together just on those issues. Now, I'm not going to be getting down to the details that may be behind those because that's a much longer process. But I just want to see if we can do something, at least temporarily, with those issues. So would you tap with me?
Yes.
Okay, right here. Okay. And just follow me and change my words if you think they need changing, okay? Because I just ramble around. Okay. All right.
Change them in my mind or out loud?
Just tell me to change them.
Okay.
Okay. But before we do that, I've got to do a little testing first. On a scale of 0 to 10, you suggest a tingling in your body, where 10 is the worst it's ever been. What is it currently?
About a 7.
About a 7. Okay. And the fatigue, if being ultimate energy ready to skip a rope and full energy was a 10 and 0 is I'm ready to go to sleep, where are you right now?
About a 3.
About a 3. Okay, tap with me. Okay. Even though I still feel so lethargic.
Even though I feel so lethargic.
That I'm really tired.
That I'm really tired.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I'm sorry?
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay. Up here. This tired feeling.
This tired feeling.
This fatigue.
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 And this fatigue.
This fatigue.
Well, just as simple little test. Are you still a 3 on the fatigue?
Well, it's hard to say because now the tingling is a lot more intense.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right. Interesting. What that means is something happened, something shifted. So the tingling, instead of being a 7, is now a what?
Like an 8.5.
All right. Tap with me. Even though I have this tingling sensation,
Even though I have this tingling
and I wish
sensation.
it would go away, and I
I'm
wish,
sorry.
and I wish it would go away.
And I wish it would go away.
Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start throwing in a few emotional issues. Okay, they're not going to be specific, but we're doing something emotionally. Okay, and I wish it would go away.
And I
Um,
wish it would go away.
I forgive myself
I forgive myself.
for any contribution I may have made to this,
Any contribution I may have made to this.
and I forgive anyone else,
And I forgive anyone else,
including that husband of mine
including that husband of
who
mine,
may have contributed to it,
ex-husband,
ex-husband of mine who may have contributed to it,
who may have contributed to it,
and for whom I have no charge whatsoever.
and for whom I have no charge whatsoever.
Okay. This tingling sensation,
This tingling sensation,
forgiveness,
forgiveness,
forgiveness in my tingling.
forgiveness in my tingling.
All right, keep going. Forgiveness in my tingling.
Forgiveness in my
All right,
tingling.
keep going.
Forgiveness in my tingling. Forgiveness in my tingling. Forgiveness in my tingling. Forgiveness in my tingling.
All right, check it out. How's the tingling?
It's about a 6.5.
All right, so it's a little better than you started
Seven.
with.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though I still have some tingling,
Even though I still have some
I
tingling,
deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
may be carrying around some big time anger about my ex-husband,
I've been carrying around big time amounts of anger about my ex-husband,
and I don't really need it.
and I don't really need it.
It helps no one.
It helps no one.
Am I speaking the truth here?
Yes,
It's excess anger.
it's excess anger.
It's okay to be irritated,
It's okay to be
but
irritated.
I'm a little over the top here.
I'm a little over the top
And
here.
it may show up in my tingling.
It may show up in my tingling.
All right. This excess tingling.
Excess tingling. It's excess tingling.
Excess anger.
Excess tingling.
Actually, excess anger in my tingling.
Excess anger in my tingling.
Okay, same thing.
Excess anger in my tingling.
Keep going.
Excess anger in my tingling.
Don't forget the eyes.
Excess.
Yeah. Excess anger in my tingling.
Excess anger in my tingling.
All right, keep going.
Excess anger in my tingling. Excess anger in my tingling. Excess anger in my tingling. Excess anger in my tingling.
All right, check out the tingling. Are you still a 6.5?
No, it's about a 5.5.
A 5.5. Check out your level of fatigue. Are you still a 3?
No, I'm about a 4.
You're up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Tap with me. Even though I still have some tingling.
Even though I still have some
I want
tingling.
to stop a second. We don't know. We don't need to go into detail here for people to watch. But what I'd like to have you do is zero in on what you might consider to be the most irritating of the specific events dealing with your ex-husband in the last year.
Well, there's something presently going on, which is that I ended up single parenting my 16-year-old son while he's gallivanting, going to Guatemala and setting up solar power businesses with his brother and visiting friends in California and hanging out in Texas where he's from. And so I feel like I got duped. I got stuck.
Okay. And how is your tingling right now?
It's lower.
Oh, it's lower. Oh, interesting. It wouldn't have surprised me to see that it would have been higher. What number is it?
About a 4.
Tap with me. Tap with me. Even though I really got duped.
Even though I really got duped.
I'm here with my son.
I'm here with my
And
son.
he's out playing.
He's out playing.
And I got the short end of the stick here.
And I got the short end of the stick here.
Um, and I'm mad about it.
And I'm mad about it.
Okay. Let me stop you a second. Interesting possible reframe. He may be out playing. You have the sun. Which would you rather have? Would you rather play or have the sun?
Both.
You'd like to do both. Okay. All right. All right. Even though I resent that ex-husband of mine.
Even though I resent that ex-husband of mine.
I hereby take a deep breath.
I hereby take a deep breath.
That's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Okay. That's the way it is.
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 I'm really angry at him.
I'm really angry at him.
If it's okay to say, I'm pissed.
I'm pissed.
Okay. As you will. I'm angry, pissed, whatever.
I'm angry and pissed.
All right. Again.
I'm angry at him.
Okay.
I'm angry at him.
All right. Check out the tingling. Is it still a 4?
I think it's about a 3.
Okay.
It's very hard to discern because there's so much going on. There's the fatigue, there's the inflammation, and there's the tingling. But I think the tingling's about a 3.
Okay, so we went from a 7 to an 8.5, down to a 3. When's the last time it was a 3?
Off and on, it was at a 3, I think, this morning for a little while.
Okay. From my perception,
Yeah.
since we went to an 8.5, and then the only thing that brought it down, from my point of view, was the tapping that we just did. We brought it down from 8.5 to a 3. I don't want you to agree with me because you're supposed to. Does that seem right to you?
That seems right, yeah.
Okay. That's a clue that I would take with you that says there's something about addressing emotional issues with EFT that can improve my physical symptoms.
Right.
This may well be temporary. It may go right back up, 20 minutes from now. Maybe it's fine for a week, or maybe forever. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing to take from it is now we have this clue. There is a connection. It's worthwhile doing EFT with the personal peace procedure and the borrowing benefits and that to address the emotional issues to see if we can't get more and more and more. Because we only did this for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Marsha, thank you so much. I think what you've shared with us and this story is going to be helpful to a lot of people. A lot of people have parallel issues to yours. I mean, they've had emotional issues which has caused physical things. They've gone through divorces. They've gone through deaths in the family and other types of traumas and irritating circumstances that show up physically. And so they're going to draw their parallels from this, and hopefully your sharing this is going to help move them along the path a little better. So it's my gratitude.
All right. Thank you very much.